running. There is little in the world that compares. The wind in your face, the steady, rhythmic pounding of your feet on the ground beneath you. The best thing about running is that anyone can do it. It doesn't matter if you're short or tall, fat or skinny, rich or poor. It doesn't even matter if you were born into a family of runners. All you have to do is choose to run. That choice, the one simple decision to run, opens the door to an entire new world of beauty, freedom, and a higher quality of life, all from running. There are some, however, who want to do more than simply run. They want to race, to compete, to win. Now, racing is entirely different from running. When you run, you only think about yourself. But in a race, you have to be aware of the pace and position of the other runners. You not only have to be fast, you have to be smart and aggressive. And sometimes you must do things that others will not understand because they are not in the race. There have been many great runners that others have tried to model themselves after. But there is one thing that cannot be seen and cannot be imitated, and that is the heart. Now, when we speak of the heart, we're not talking about that physical muscle that pumps blood to our body. No, the heart we are describing here is that intangible dimension that pushes a man to finish the race when all others have fallen away. No matter how much a runner loves to run, and no matter how hard a runner trains, at the end of the race, when it matters the most, it is ultimately the heart that determines who wins. To put it simply, the heart is the most important part of a runner. Everyone looks like a champion at the beginning of the race, but in every race, there is a crucial moment when something unexplainable begins to happen. Whether it's a short sprint or a marathon, every runner comes face to face with the stretch. The body no longer feels like it's flying. Muscles burn, blood has been depleted of oxygen. Every part of the body is screaming for the runner to quit. At the most crucial time in the race, when victory is on the line, the runner enters the stretch totally and utterly spent. At that moment, it is only the heart that can keep a runner running, and even cause them to run faster. So you see, in racing, the heart is everything. And it can neither be taught nor learned. All runners are born with a racing heart. The question is, however, is it a heart for the stretch? This is why races are run, so the heart can be measured, so that the great hearts inspire others. I have a great love for runners. Their dedication to their craft, the way they carry themselves. I have spent my entire life and the considerable wealth and influence that my father passed to me looking for runners who have a heart for the stretch. It is no easy task to look at someone and decide if they have the heart to push on when everyone else is falling away. So it is here that the story of those with great hearts must be told. The first time I saw these great hearts, though they had not won this name yet, they were working as common field laborers. Though they came from a long line of powerful runners, they had no idea of their heritage. In fact, they had never run a day in their life. From the time they were born, even as small children, they had worked, stooped over, their hands tilling and planting and weeding. Day after day, I watched through my window as they labored in the fields. I discerned their heart, a heart for the stretch. Knowing that only freedom would allow these slaves to experience what they were made for, I set out to purchase their freedom. I went to the owner of the land they worked and asked to purchase their release. The owner of the land refused my offer. It should be noted that the owner of the land was an evil man who declared himself to be my enemy. After several unsuccessful attempts to purchase their freedom, I made the ultimate decision. I would offer the sum of my entire net worth for the slaves. on one condition: that the fields they worked be included in the purchase agreement. The evil landowner was unable to turn down an offer like that. After the contract was signed, I went and found my new runners. They were still working in the fields, just like every other day, not knowing they had been purchased, or the price paid for their purchase. I went to each one and took the sacks of seed off their shoulders and removed the tools from their weathered hands. I introduced myself and explained what had just happened. They were obviously full of questions. I told them I wanted them to run. They said they didn't know how to run. Just try, I encouraged. The first steps were awkward. Most had no sense of timing or form, no idea how to breathe or pump their arms. But then something happened with those first few clumsy steps. I felt something inside them come alive for the first time. They needed to run. They wanted to run. The run called out and their hearts told them to go. On the very ground where they had once labored and toiled under the slavery of the evil landowner, they were free to do what they had been created to do: run. In the beginning, training to race was very difficult. Even endurance was limited. Their lungs never had to work so hard while being bent over in the fields. Without a lifetime of training and coaching behind them, many became discouraged early. Some, unwilling to continue training, chose to return to the fields, bent over doing what they had always done. But those who stayed, day by day, grew stronger, every stride more powerful, each gait more graceful. They were enjoying the beauty and freedom of the run. The only time you could see the scars of their past life was after an extremely long run. Some of their backs would stoop over, others walked with a slight limp. As their injuries became evident, I would gently massage their wounds and scars. In time, they would run again. After training, it was time for the runners to fulfill their potential. It was time for them to race. The race was an open invitation to any runner in the world. It was open to anyone, but the course was so treacherous, only the best runners would dare enter. The prize for each who finished the course was an invitation to come and work with me, to find and train other runners. My runners were immediately concerned. They didn't feel like they were ready. They had not been training long enough. They had never run in a race before, but they had already been entered. They couldn't go back. They had been purchased to race, and race they would. Race day was hot. The runners didn't say a word of complaint. They simply went about their race preparations and encouraged one another, each one checking every few minutes to make sure I was in sight. The course was filled to capacity with both runners and spectators. Everyone was talking about the difficulty of the course and if the runners were up to the task. As the runners gathered at the starting line, the crowd grew quiet. The runners settled into their starting positions and waited. The mounting pressure and tension of the race caused two different runners to false start. Every time there's a false start, the runners must start the process all over again. Finally, the gun sounded and the runners exploded from the starting line. The crowds cheered as the racers raced past them and onto the race course. One of the runners was in the middle of the pack, struggling to find their form. Never having run in such close quarters before, the other runners were elbowing and pushing, trying to gain position, and without confidence, the runner was pushed to the back and soon running alone, far behind the other runners. As the runners started the second stage of the race, another one of the runners made a crucial decision. He moved to the outside. With all of the other runners crowding together, he was able to find his rhythm and soon was moving up the field. At the end of the second stage, the runner who had fallen behind and finally found their form was back up with the others and running very strongly. So were all the other runners in the race. As they continued on the course, one of the runners was in position to move up when the runner in front of him tripped and fell. He was too close and could not get out of the way. As he lay there, he tried not to think about the pain he was experiencing. I ran to the edge of the course screaming encouragement. There was nothing I could do for them, so I screamed until I no longer had a voice. Get up, get up, get up! He slowly got to his feet and forced himself to start running. The race was being taken from him. But then, in his pain and desperation, he looked at me as if he could hear me above the roar of the crowd. Run! Don't stop! Run! As the runners began the final stage, the runner who had been in last place began his charge. He was yards behind the other runners, but there was a chance. Hope stepped out of the shadows as he began to run past the other runners. With every runner he passed, he grew more determined to finish strong. Lungs burning, he determined not to slow. If it killed him, he would not slow down. He would finish the race. As the runners entered the last stage of the race, the stretch, it was obvious that not all the runners had made the same decision. Their hearts had been exposed. I could no longer simply watch. I made my way to the finish line and waited for each runner to finish. With their eyes fixed on the finish line, they pushed past the pain and ran. They ran because they were born to run. They ran because it was their destiny. They ran because their hearts would not let them quit. As each great heart crossed the finish line, my heart erupted in celebration and joy. Each one had run his race, finished the course, overcoming obstacles. Everyone was talking about the speed and great racing savvy of the great hearts. But all I could say was, it was the heart. It all came down to the heart. These are great hearts.